Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Ball Games. And we are leading out here with Mark, the Goblin King, on an Aether Vial, which gets Force of Willed from Tony Scapone on Blue-Red Delver, a deck that he's played quite a bit online. Magic Online putting up multiple high finishes. And now a Rashad and Port coming down, which can actually deal with this basic island in the short term, giving Mark a chance to develop his mana base. Tony responding with Brainstorm. Perhaps not the best time for that Brainstorm, but mana efficiency is important here. And a Ponder as well, seeing Counterbalance, and I believe a Jace the Mind Sculptor, neither of which are really good in the Goblins matchup. Cards that very much hedge for the mid-range and control matches. Goblins almost more of a combo aggro deck. Does have some spectacular finishes with Pashalik Mons and Sling Gang Lieutenant and a Wasteland again. And this is looking like old school Goblins. Goblin Lackey, Aether Vial, grinding out mana efficiency and value. And now Rashad and Port and Wasteland attacking the mana base. Very much like early 2000s Goblins. Back when Goblin Piledriver was first printed. The deck really went from a joke deck. For those who don't remember, the early days of Magic, Goblins was essentially a joke deck, and Onslaught really changed things. Even when Urza's Saga gave us Goblin Lackey, there weren't really any good Goblins to put in off of it. Wasn't really a threatening card, but they have continued to pepper sets with new Goblins here and there. And now a Goblin Matron. And this is going to give this Goblin Lackey a very good card to put in. Mark electing to go with Goblin Ringleader, trying to overwhelm and getting a Munitions Expert and a... not sure what the other one was. No targets for the Wasteland. Mark picking it up, ready to fire it at something, but there are just basics over there, so he's going to have to hold on a little bit to fire that off. We see a Volcanic Island for Tony's draw step. And that Rashad and Port having tapped down the island, leading to Tony slowly backing out of the room, finding that situation to be untenable and wanting to have enough time for games 2 and 3 here. I don't believe it was actually lethal the next turn, but it was certainly very close. Tony might have had an additional draw step, but nothing really in the main deck going to take care of a horde of Goblins like that. Cards like Young Pyromancer can do a lot of work given the proper amount of time and setup, but his resource is just far too restricted there by the Goblin King's mana disruption, Wastelands, and Rashad and Port just doing a number there on Tony's mana base. I believe this is the Unsettled Mariner build. I'm not actually positive. Unsettled Mariner really distorts the mana base quite a bit. There we, I think, only saw reasonable cards. Ancient Ziggurat, probably the worst concession that Unsettled Mariner build has made in the various drafts of it. A card that cannot cast Aether Vial and some of your sideboard cards. Blue-Red Delver versus Goblins. A matchup that I think a lot of modern players could potentially wrap their brains around. It feels like a supercharged modern format. The power level just a little bit higher in every little situation. Your cantrips are better. Your ability to kind of loop cantrips together, so much better than modern. And of course, Goblins, now a modern deck, but nowhere near as good as the Legacy build. So I think it's really a positive thing to have decks that are available in both formats, where people can potentially look to fall in love with a deck in Modern and then get to play an even better version of it over in Legacy. I think that's a great recruitment tool for our format. And of course, it does go the other way sometimes as well. Death Shadow, very much a Modern deck. Wasn't really seeing much play in Legacy until the deck was ported over to a pretty significant amount of success. It may actually be one of the best Delver builds. We'll see. Right now, everything's still very much in flux thanks to the printing of Modern Horizons. And I suspect that statement's going to be true for quite some time. Modern Horizons not fully absorbed. Still unclear. Cards like Fiery Islet, we really don't know how good they are yet. It's a lot to go with. When Horizon Canopy was printed, the general thought process was, man, if that was a blue land, it would be in like every deck as a 4 of. Well, we have that option now, and that is not the way we're playing it. Mostly just kind of peppering that card in here and there. It's also interesting with Wrenn and 6 to be able to recur it and get the extra card draw per turn. Though that may not actually be better than cycling a land, as it does use your land drop. So not a lot of action for this game in particular, really going down the rabbit hole with those asides. Aether Vials slowly ticking up. Tony on the blue-red Delver side of things, having his mana base minimally harassed with this Rishadan port. And will he get a True Name Nemesis out of this? He does, so double fetch. Building up really the only card that made sense there for such a slow opening. And now we've got an Unsettled Mariner for Mark with that Vial on 2. It's going to tick up to 3, and he draws. One thing to remember with these Aether Vials, if you are a Goblin player, a trick that I don't see very much. Oh, and Plague Engineer, just a devastating card being vialed in there. Does not care that it's not a Goblin. It's a 3 casting cost creature, and that is just tapping, almost like tapping for 3 mana, like a 1 mana Gilded Lotus. Just tremendous. Even better than that, given that the card cannot be countered. So that is a blowout play there. Activate Vial, Plague Engineer, taking out all of those True Name Nemesises moving forward. And the Unsettled Mariner going to make it a little bit more difficult to actually remove the Plague Engineer. It's going to cost Tony some tempo here. He pays the 1. And that Goblin Pile Driver, Unsettled Mariner, and Plague Engineer, really all 3 are considerations. One thing to remember is that Pro Blue on the Pile Driver will be able to get past future True Name Nemesises. So if Mark can go wide enough that he can actually push through lethal with just a Pile Driver and a few other stragglers getting past any defenses that Tony's able to muster. Here he's going to be able to swing for at least 5. And now another Pile Driver. That gets Spell Snared. He could have vialed that in. That leaves me a little perplexed. That may just be an error. That does happen from time to time. You guys got to remember, it's actually not the easiest thing to play on camera. And a Goblin Crater Maker getting put in there and drawing a card. That Pile Driver feels like it probably would have been better than this Crater Maker. We'll see. Both of them contributing to the cause. Another Pile Driver would have made lethal right here, swinging for 12 damage. Instead, swinging for 9. Going to leave Tony at just 2 life, assuming he doesn't have any type of tricks here. And we have a Snapcaster. Targeting Dead Gone. He's going to have to pay that extra 1 mana for the Unsettled Mariner, so taking out this Pile Driver. And now a Sling Gang Lieutenant being vialed in. It is sacrificed. And this is looking pretty bad. It's very interesting situation here. So, Unsettled Mariner, a higher value card, could have traded the Crater Maker instead by paying the 1. Preordain. Tony is digging. He is facing down a 4-point life drain along with a lethal attack step. He absolutely has to have something going on here. A lightning bolt pre-combat, or pre-damage, means just 4 damage you're going to go through. Of course, he'll sacrifice that Sling Gang Lieutenant as well. Hydroblast, and now just a pair of 1/1 Goblins. Tony is hellbent, down to 5, draws a card. Mark drawing a card off of the Fiery Islet. Matron, and this threatens to be lethal. Goblin Chieftain would have been a lethal play. He's grabbing the Ringleader. Pashalik Mons. Oh, and 3 Goblins. Swinging for 4. And now Mog Fanatic comes down. He's able to sacrifice the most glorious way a Mog Fanatic can go down, dealing that lethal point of damage and saving Mark from that extra draw step on Tony's side. So the Goblin King marches on toward the finals. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.